Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this week's weekly Wednesday tax tip video. I'm so glad you're back. I'm glad you clicked on the video. I'm glad you showed up. This week's topic is talking about extensions, filing tax extensions, right? For your 1040, for your business, whatever. We're filing the tax extensions. And I want to let you know that I'm doing this now as a reminder because I want y'all to hear it straight from the tax cop's mouth. I was gonna say from the horse's mouth, but that don't fit. Straight from the tax cop's mouth, I want you all to hear this directly. Extensions are not a bad thing. Sometimes we are waiting for tax documents to come in because we have partnerships that have to issue us K1s, or you're in the stock market, or you're dealing with other conglomerates, or the 1099s didn't come through, or you have a 5498 for HSAs or something like that. We're waiting on documentation that doesn't come in till later on in the year. Don't ask me why them 5498s come in so late. I don't know why. I have a client that actually has a conclusion that's probably because you have up until April to make the contribution for the previous year, which might be right. But needless to say, there are some documents that do not show up in the early part of the tax season. And so some of you all, it's not just that you're coming in late because you're living life and you're trying to put your head in the sand and forget about taxes, because it can be overwhelming. Like you just got out of Christmas and the holidays and being jolly, right? And now you got to do all this tax stuff at the beginning of the year. Sometimes that extension just buys you time, just buys you the time you need to get all your documentation. Now, an extension allows us sometimes as tax pros to come up with some different strategies too, to look at things from a different angle. But I don't want extensions to have a bad name. But I do want to point out this. There's two ways to do extensions. We can either file the extension. You can file it yourself, or you can have us file it. We don't charge a fee for filing extensions for our existing clients. We file that form to buy us time. For 1040s or individual tax returns, that buys us 6 months to file. So that means we do not have to file a tax return until October the 15th. That's in the tax season guide, right? For my pass-through entities are S corporations and partnerships. It buys us 6 months. That means we have until September the 15th to get our act together and get those things filed. And then we'll still be timely. All right, so this is what I want you to understand. It means that it buys us time to file, but it does not buy us time to pay. So if you think that you owe $1,000 or more, or even less than that, let's just be real, okay? If you think you owe any money, go and put something on it, all right? And if you don't want to fill out the form, one of the great things to get you an automatic extension is if you pay the what you think you owe. Right? If you think you owe $500, if you think you owe $600, if you think you owe $200, if you know you owe more than that and you only got $50, go ahead and go to the IRS payment website and actually go through and hit the extension and put that extension on it. Because when you make that payment, it gives you an automatic extension. It gives you an automatic extension. So therefore, you know you good. Now, go and look for your states, because some of these states is funky acting, okay? So like, for instance, I live in a DMV area, so it's weird. Maryland will automatically give you an extension if you file an extension or federal, but still is the same thing for pay, right? You got to pay. So you automatically get the time, because if you filed a federal extension, they can prove you filed a federal extension and it got accepted, you're good unless you owe. Then you got to go ahead and get them some payment, right? And you got to do the paperwork. Virginia, filing does not happen until May 1st. You're not late if you don't file by April the 15th. But if you are late in Virginia if you don't file your state return by May the 1st. Okay? And in DC, everything is due on April the 15th. That's how DC roll. Everything is due on April the 15th. So we actually got to do an extension for both federal and DC. So it depends on what state you are in. I have clients all over the country. I just want you to know that an extension is not a bad thing. And if you think, I have some clients that we prepare to return now. They know that they owe, they get their money together, and then they tell us to file at that time. wait till filing deadline in April, and then they pay at that same time because they get their coins together. Then I have some clients that know that they owe, and they only gonna put a little bit on it, and then they're gonna put themselves in a 3 or 4 month payment plan and get the rest taken care of. Okay. And then I have some clients who just, you know what, Patrice, I don't feel like dealing with it until later, until I get all my documents. So we filed an extension, and sometimes they put a little bit of money on it, and sometimes they don't. Understand that if you do not pay the amount that you owe in full by April at the federal level, right? And whatever your state deadline is, they are going to charge you interest and penalties. All right? So the reason is going to be a failure to pay penalty and associated interest till you pay it in full. All right, so I want you all to know it's not a bad thing to do an extension. Sometimes an extension is a great strategy for us because we want to make sure we got everything so that we can leverage it in the code. And sometimes we do an extension because Congress doing what they're doing now. And they waiting to make some decisions, and some stuff is going to change, and we don't feel like doing an amended return later on. So we do the extension till they get their act together, and then we push it later because now all the softwares and everything have caught up. Okay? So I just want you to know there's nothing wrong with an extension. I know people don't want to do it. We are pressing forward because we're not going to be doing taxes all year unless we got to for resolution side, right? But we are steadily churning these taxes. Y'all are getting your organizers in. Y'all are doing a great job. We are going to push these tax returns through to the limit, to the limit, to the limit. We've already submitted some clients that have already gone through and gotten their things done. We are going through our next batch. We're getting ready to have a big flush of clients to come through. Pass-through entities, their tax return is due March 15th. Right? So we're either filing, all my business returns get extensions because I want to make sure I know it's not going to bounce back. Right? So March 15th is their deadline. If we file an extension, they have until September 15th to file. And then for 1040s, if you need an extension, let us know, or go ahead and go in the system on the IRS website and pay for the extension. Because if you pay, you automatically get an extension. And then we will file those. And those payments are due, or those tax returns are due to be timely by October the 15th. Just so you know what's going on. And I'm just going to throw this in here for good measure. E-filing shuts down at a certain time every year. Normally after Thanksgiving or right before Thanksgiving is when it stops. And then it closes, and then it opens back up again in January because they got to redo the systems. Okay? So just because, let's say, you don't make the October deadline or the September deadline, doesn't mean that we still don't have a little bit of time to still file. So don't let it be like, oh, I'm going to wait till the following year. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. Let's get our documents together. Let's get them scanned. I'm talking to myself now. Let's get them scanned, and let's get on our way. And let's remember that an extension is not a bad thing. It's not. It buys us time to file. It does not buy us time to pay. Till next week. Y'all have a great one. Peace.